Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Tuesday night chat, another Tuesday night bull ring with me and Rosie and Rick. Is your six covered? And whoever else shows up. I seen SoCal said he might show up here in a little bit. So anyway, it's just the three of us for right now, and there we go. Now I got it muted. Oh, the Crazy Scotsman's out there. I'll send him a link too. Anyway, I'll let y'all do an intro, and I'll start with Rick. Is your six covered? I got one of your shirts on, Rick, with the CZ on it. Unmute yourself.
Trying to find the damn button. I got a shirt on. I got my C-Max cancer one on today. Shoot cancer in the face. Appreciate it, as always. Not just having fun. I went out, did a purchase today, and it's kind of a quiet. I'm not going to tell anybody what it is yet, I don't think, unless maybe later in the chat. But having a great time. So thanks again.
Okay. I'm going to send the Crazy Scotsman a link, and in the meantime, I'm going to let Rosie do an intro, and you can go ahead and roll off with whatever's on your mind this week.
Hey, everybody, how you doing? I can. How do I sense that Rick is in rare form tonight? You know, here, look out, lock up the women and children. Ooh, it's going to be a crazy night. I'm glad to see you all, and Rosie O'Kelly channel. Well, we're in the middle of summer here. What can I tell you? Kind of like the Cam just had a meltdown, right?
I was like, what in the hell's Rosie doing?
Hold on a minute, guys. I don't have all the technical crew backing me up that you guys do. Glad I had pants on tonight.
The barefoot night in the Rosie house.
Yeah, I said glad I had my drawers on tonight.
Yeah, I know.
There we are. So nice to see nice to see you all tonight. I'm saying Rick is in rare form. It looks like I'm in rare form tonight. You know, guys, it's summertime. That means it's traditionally the time that things are at their slowest in terms of economic news and things like that. And I think the thing that everybody's keeping their eye on, I think I read just before I came in that on Thursday, the Senate is going to be going in an all-night session in an attempt once and for all to put an end to this Obamacare. I don't think it's going to succeed myself because of, well, people like John McCain, which I don't understand. You know, John McCain comes into the Senate, he's got the brain cancer and things like that. We could kind of tell for a couple months that his behavior was kind of erratic, like there was something going on. But he shows up to okay a vote on health care, and then he promptly announces he's going to vote against the Republican proposal. So it's more useless stuff, in my opinion, on that. So I expected it's going to be tough, that vote, because if it doesn't pass, then the president will never have that momentum again to go forward, because people will start thinking about the 2020 elections and things like that. So it's kind of a now or never. And then, as I said before, I'm just a little bit concerned that if he does not succeed in getting that pushed through, then we could be looking at a presidency that not a lot is done. I hope this thing doesn't go down again. This camera on here. But I'm also keeping an eye on markets, and you know, we're continuing to press up, although we're getting this divergence now between, you know, the last 2 years, technology has really been a leader. And now that looks like it's starting to cool off a bit, and the industrial sector is kind of struggling a little bit, but we're powering ahead. The market's still powering ahead, not as boldly as it was after the election in 2016, but it's still pushing ahead, and it's still pushing ahead on all this stimulus and all this going on in the marketplace. Rates are still low. Oil prices are still contained, $47 a barrel. Gold is sitting stable at $1,235 an ounce. Silver, I think, around $16.25. Somebody will tell me on there. But the question is, going forward, how much do we have baked into this market? And I've said before, there's a lot baked in. But the problem is, when you have momentum and you lack alternatives, it's a situation where lacking those alternatives to put money to work, people are going to do the same old thing all the time, and they're going to push values to ridiculous levels, and they're going to attempt to justify those levels until this pops. The really important thing is we really have, you know, as Linda's mentioning here, we've had a pronounced weakening of the dollar in here, which is kind of strange, and it's also that's helped to prop up oil prices a little bit because, as you know, they're purchased denominated in U.S. dollars for the most part for trade. And I think it's fascinating because we're supposed to be recovering well, and consumer sentiment was high, measured pretty high today, but yet why would our dollar be turning down now? If anything, our interest rates should be going up and making our dollar more attractive to people overseas. So there's still some things going on that don't make a lot of sense to me in terms of how things and where the levels stand. Now, some people have asked me to talk about Bitcoin and some of the alternative currencies out there, and I figured it was only a matter of time, and this is an important thing, because I know some of you deal in Bitcoin, some of you speculate in Bitcoin, and it's been all over the map from, you know, $120 up to $1,500 a unit. And today, the United States Federal Reserve and the United States Treasury came out and declared that they have the right to regulate Bitcoin as an alternative commodity in the marketplace, and therefore, if you want to sell Bitcoin or you want to do business in Bitcoin, you need to have, now they're designing this, you need to have the approval of the United States government to do that. Surprise! So in actual fact, what may be happening is that Bitcoin may be setting itself up in an inferior position to things like gold and silver, which governments really have a difficult time regulating because it's so worldwide in the demand and supply.
Do you, I hate to interrupt, Rosie, but I mean, this is the way I look at it. I'd like your opinion on it. Isn't Bitcoin just trading one fiat currency for another fiat currency?
It is, but I think it's fascinating. The fascinating thing to me, TR, is watching the government finally step in as Bitcoin starts to really kind of take on a little bit of momentum here. Now the Treasury is stepping in and saying, hey, you know what, we're going to regulate this. And that means if you want to do offerings of Bitcoin type currencies, if you want to raise money with Bitcoins, you know what, it's got to come through us now with full disclosures and things like that, as if you were selling a stock, a new issue of stock into the marketplace or something like that. That really caught my attention because I thought that was a hell of a grab, a hell of a reach on the part of the government, because it is a form of barter. It is trading one form of fiat currency, as you said, TR, for another form of fiat currency. And generally, the government doesn't really regulate barter, so I thought it was very unusual. It's a tribute to the power of Bitcoin, that idea that finally the U.S. government has jumped in. But you know, it's kind of like offshore gambling. Remember when poker was really big, and you could use your Visa and MasterCard and play, and your money was in the Cayman Islands, and then the government came in and broke that up. Well, they have that same sort of theory with this Bitcoin. They sort of treat it as an equivalent sort of plaything. But Linda says they don't regulate barter because, as a reality, they can't. But it does not mean that they don't try to do it. That's the thing. If you do something and nobody squawks about it and nobody has the power to fight it, then it's the same as, you know, you get your way with by default. So I'm just thinking it's really fascinating. This is why you need things like to trade and have stock in not the stock of shares, but to have physical assets like ammunition, guns, and things like that that have value beyond the ability of the government to regulate that. So I thought that's very interesting. So to me, it just continues to boost up gold and silver is what will probably shake out as the ultimate currency, because guys, we're still running $600 billion plus deficits here, even 9 years into this so-called recovery. So our national debt just keeps going up and up and up and up. And I'm worried now with this U.S. dollar weakening that it's going to exert some upward pressure on interest rates, and ultimately it's going to give us a little bit of trouble here. So we shall see.
Well, what's
I mean,
Bitcoin?
you mentioned, as far as the government overstepping their bounds, and as long as nobody says anything about it, well, they get away with it. Well, that's been true with not only finances, but a lot of things that our government does is really unconstitutional, but until it's challenged, they get away with it.
Yeah. It's like I've told you guys, and you certainly know this story of trying to get a concealed carry permit in this county. Forget about it. Even though the Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled that people have a legal right to these permits and things, they just will continue to block and say, well, we don't have to. It doesn't say how soon we have to issue them, so we'll just sit on them indefinitely. This is the kind of thing that pisses people off about government, and it's all overreaching. And I think that's why we have the state of politics we have today, and why President Trump sits in the White House to try to combat some of this overreach and things. So, but he's got his own set of problems and things now. So we'll see. But I just really am offended that the government's jumping into, finally, after 4.5 years, 5 years, 6 years, they're jumping into Bitcoin.
But there's no monetary value, right? I mean, I could say, hey, TR, I got 1 million Bitcoin right here. Do you want to buy it? $1 million worth of Bitcoins, and I'll charge you $300.
Yeah.
Right?
So who issues the Bitcoin?
But it's someone inventing fake currency.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But to a South Carolina,
issues Bitcoin though, and the government says at that point, well, since you're issuing an alternative currency that trades and can be monetized at ATMs. Now think about what I'm saying. There's actually Bitcoin machines that will dispense Bitcoin and will also dispense U.S. dollars in those. I think there's a couple in Boston and some in New York, and that just opens the whole gateway into sort of the banking community and makes them mainstream. So, but they want to be involved. If you say, hey, we're going to start issuing our own Bitcoins, or if you want to issue more Bitcoin in the United States, then they're saying you have to fall in line as if you're a regulated bank, and you'll probably have to get a charter, some sort of weird type of bank charter or something like that. So they're just worried about, I think, people trying to cut it off at the pass and trying to nip it in the bud in anticipation of the day when the dollar may not be desirable, and other things like gold and silver and Bitcoins come to pass. Let's see. Says our money's debt-based fiat currency. The criminal Federal Reserve prints out of thin air.
Well, I never bit onto the Bitcoin thing. I mean, yeah, if you'd have got in on it earlier, you could have made some money, but it's no different. The way I look at it, it was like a stock. I mean, yeah, it could do great. It could fail. It could fall flat on its fucking face. It was a hunch. Basically, it's just like any other stock. I mean, it could do well or it could fail.
Bitcoin is moving more into the mainstream. I mean, in San Francisco, there's quite a few places that you can go to and pay in Bitcoin. You know, you can hold up your phone and it can be swiped over whatever the bill is or whatever, and the Bitcoin can be removed and credited to the restaurant account. That's the stuff that kind of shakes up the, an alternative fiat currency that the government fears could more widely get into circulation in ATMs and in transactions in at merchant places, and they want to nip that in the bud because that's a threat to the mainstream currency, and they're using that banking aspect of it, that you can get it out of ATMs and things like that and use it in regular commerce. I guess theoretically you could pay in silver coins if you'd have to educate the owner how much silver trades for, and that one face dollar of U.S. silver is 0.78 ounces of silver. Do the math, blah blah blah. But people out in this tech area sort of understand Bitcoin. People up in New York and in Boston and some of those areas. So for me, it's like a canary in the coal mine. It tells you what the government wants to do when something comes along as an alternative domestically to the United States, to the U.S. dollar. So
I'm not surprised they're getting involved. For anybody that's done research and kind of dug into the Federal Reserve, you realize what a monster it is and how much control they have of our government. The Federal Reserve is not part of our government, and the whole thing of the Federal Reserve is unconstitutional. Period. It should be abolished and done away with.
Maybe tonight's the night we should tear into this a little bit if we're light on other things. This whole concept of the Federal Reserve, we've kind of bitten around the edges for a couple of years here talking about it, and you say we don't really need a Federal Reserve, it's unconstitutional. And I'm not going to argue the constitutionality of it, but there is something to be said, and I'm not saying I favor it because the Federal Reserve gets us painted into corners, but what do you do in times of a last resort? What's the alternative? You need some lender that's going to come in like the cavalry when things are failing left and right, and at least have some credit to extend and some money to bring in. And I just want you to hear me out on this, because of course the Federal Reserve was born out of the Knickerbocker panic in New York, when a big copper corner failed, when people used to run stocks up and try to get people caught on the wrong side of them. And the Knickerbocker Bank had overextended credit to some of these speculators, and there started a domino effect that no banks they started to withdraw their credits from other banks, and it just became the dominoes that got so bad it caused a terrible stock market crash. And it was only because the Morgan Bank stepped in at that particular time that panic was stemmed. But that shook people up so much, that failure, that there was no lender of last resort in that situation. And then the same thing happened in the 1930s with the bank runs. There was, before, when the FDIC was born, that Roosevelt had to promise when the banks were shut down for that bank holiday when he first took office, that the government would stand behind sound banks, and the Treasury was working overtime printing cash to get into these banks, because in my opinion, TR, our country came the closest to coming off the rails in January and February and March of 1933. And if we had not had a Federal Reserve at that particular time to start moving money into the system to prevent that domino failure, in other words, strong banks could get pulled down by weak ones having to withdraw their excess reserves from strong banks. So it's, I think we recognize there's some need for something, but yeah, I think what you're saying, TR, you may say get rid of it, but it has to have prescribed limits about what it's allowed to do. You know, in the case of this last recession, we had all these trillions of dollars, this quantitative easing, 1, 2, 3. So we really don't know what kind of distortions are built into our economy right now that are going to come back and haunt us in the next go round. But what do you think about that idea in those situations that are dire, that it's too big for a Morgan, a JP Morgan bank, or one of them to get together, that somebody's got to step up and be there as that lender of and supplier of credit in the last resort? I'll listen to anybody on the side chat, or TR or Rick or any of that.
Well, I mean, bottom line, the Federal Reserve is not part of our government. And as soon as we signed over all of our money, of United States money, to the Federal Reserve is where we screwed up to start with. The whole premise of the Federal Reserve is we're going to let you print money. We're going to let you print our money, and we're going to pay you. It's basically a credit card, and we're paying it with a credit card. It was a failed system from the get-go. It's like, okay, I'm just going to start making up some numbers here. We got $100 million. We're going to give this to you and pay you interest on it. The United States government has very little, actually they have a good bit of money we make, port taxes, and there's some different things that the government actually makes money on besides our income tax, because when they established the Federal Reserve is when they established the income tax, and it was a voluntary basis from the get-go. It should never have been established up until the Federal Reserve was started, which was what, 1913, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
There was no income tax. I didn't have to pay taxes on my income. And we had roads, we had schools, we had Washington, we had the White House and the Capitol and all that without my personal income taxes, if I was alive back then. I'm just saying. But the whole premise of letting private bankers control the country, and that's what they do. They control our country. We gave all control over to these bankers to control our country, and they do control it. And it was a mistake then. It's still a mistake. It should be phased out. I know we can't just end it. We can't just say, okay, shut the doors. But it needs to be phased out. No different than Obamacare. It needs to be phased out. It was a mistake to put the government in our health care, just like it was a mistake to hand our finances over to banks and let them handle it. Well, according to the Constitution, only the Senate can issue coinage, period. That has not changed in the Constitution. Yes, they added the 16th Amendment and created the Federal Reserve and our income taxes and all that stuff, but it's still unconstitutional. It gets back to what we were talking about earlier. Just because the government does something, until it's challenged, they can be unconstitutional. They can pass unconstitutional laws. Well, it's brought up that, hey, you can't do this and you better fix it or we'll fix it for you. Until we do that, they'll just keep doing unconstitutional stuff, period.
Well, let's go back to 2008 and just think how things might have turned out at that time if we did not have a Federal Reserve at that particular time. We have, now, of course, TR and others on the side chat, I'm a firm believer that misguided government policies, such as everybody should be able to afford a house, everybody should be able to go to college, blah, 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 they're the exact things that have caused the dilemmas that we find ourselves in. But my problem is recognizing that they created it, they're also kind of responsible for it at that time. And I think go back to 2008, 2005, 2008, when all of this bad debt starts to fail, all this, the Merrill Lynch and all the crap held by Countrywide Credit and Solomon Brothers and all these you know, all the other big brokerage houses and things. What becomes at that point in time when things get frozen and there's no, you know, you have effectively a $3 trillion hole blown into the economy at that point, with nobody really willing to lend any money at that particular time, and too small to step into the breach in that sort of situation. I'm just saying, I can envision a time where an economy becomes so large and so complex that it's beyond the scope of commercial banks to really get it out of those kind of situations. And sometimes it requires beyond banking, you know, a government hand. Because, you know, what would have happened in 2008 if we didn't have the Federal Reserve sucking down a lot of this bad paper that was out there and putting good credits on banks' books? We might have just gone through a total collapse, close to what we went through in 1933 with the collapse of banks. So, you know, you got to just ask yourself, did they do some good at that particular time in the face of the damage that they had done before in creating this dilemma? So I kind of shudder to think about what might have happened if we didn't have that that buyer of bad debt, or that lender of last resort.
Well, I mean, what did the banks do with the money that the big quantitative easing, whatever, you know, we gave $1 trillion to the banks, and what did they do? They're like, oh, if you don't do this, we'll fail, and the country will fail. So we gave them this money out of our pocket. Fucking inflation's gone out the fucking roof. And what did they do with it? It's not like they were about to shut down. And am I still here? Okay.
Yeah.
My computer was acting funny.
That's because we're going through a crazy storm right now.
Yeah, that's true. Coming through. They bought up other banks. It's not like they're like, oh, we're about to go under if you don't give us this money. That's what they were claiming. Then we gave them the money. What did they do? Oh, okay, I'm Wells Fargo. I'm going to buy, you know, Bank of America. I'm not making this stuff up. I know I don't remember all the facts and figures. I'm just saying that these banks, all they did was buy up other banks.
Well, they also
didn't.
They liquefied.
It's not like they could have used that money and forgave people's mortgages. They could say, okay, we're going to pay off such and such percentage of everybody's mortgage, so they'll have more money in their pocket to go out in the economy and buy, you know, radios and tires. That would have stimulated the economy. We know we gave it to the banks, and what did they do? They bought other banks to make more money.
I don't think a lot did. Some may have been forced into shotgun weddings by the Federal Reserve and the United States Treasury. You know, like Bank of America was forced to suck down countrywide credit, although they knew they were swallowing a poison pill when they took them down at that time. But banks rebuilt their balance sheets, and arguably they're stronger and sounder today as a result of those exercises. But I'm saying if the Federal Reserve wasn't there at that particular time, I don't think Bank of America would have survived. The nation's largest bank would have likely.
Absolutely. They should fail. They should collapse. That's what's supposed to happen. When you start a business and you collapse, I don't care how important it is to the economy. If you start a business and it fails, guess what? It fails. Period. It's not the government. It's not the government's job. It's not my tax money's responsibility to prop up your company. No matter how important it is, it don't matter. It doesn't matter if it kills the entire fucking economy. It does not matter. That's what happens when I go get a job. That's what happens when I start a business. If I fail, I fail.
But what I'm saying is there's such a thing as FDIC insurance and all that, that the government stood behind them. And a failure of Bank of America would have been catastrophic, on the order of trillions of dollars of deposits wiped out and assets marked down. I mean, the whole country, I think, would have taken an enormous hit from the deflationary spiral that it hit as all this debt goes bad and all this housing goes bad. You know, in other words, there had to be a moderated way to unwind this disaster that was occurred. So I do give them a little bit of credit for helping to unwind it and cushion the fall. But I really think the failure of a big bank would be catastrophic for this country at that point in time, if nothing else, for the insured deposit bases and the pension assets and things that are secured by a government pledge. That I think is what, $200,000 per account or something like that. So.
Yeah, but I still say you're just putting off the inevitable. What's going to happen? Like I say, we're paying a credit card off with a credit card. We got over $18 trillion of debt. There's only what, maybe $12 trillion of United States currency in existence in the entire fucking world. There's only $12 trillion, but we owe 18.
Yeah, I'm with
this
Ward
is going
Hall.
to fail. It's going to fail. And the longer we put it off, the harder the fucking drop is going to be. It's probably not even going to happen in our lifetime.
I don't think people would have realized, like Ward Hall said, the derivative and contagion with a bank failure that would have occurred. I think it's unthinkable on an economy of this scale. But TR, I do agree, and I've been the #1 proponent that we've created this mess, and all we're doing is keeping plates spinning in the air on sticks here. That's all we're doing, is keeping the game going for another, the 14th inning, the 15th, the 19th inning. We're keeping the game going until the inevitable. What's the alternative? In the government's eyes, is whatever it takes to keep it going, whatever money has to be created, whatever flim flam has to be created to do that, they're going to do that. So yes, does it make the ultimate collapse that much worse? Yes, it does, because they'll have no power at all in that type of situation. But I'm just saying, in terms of keeping the game going, they certainly did that in 2008. And I happen to believe if a bank like Bank of America had failed at that time, we would have gone into really a full gigantic and enormous meltdown in this country.
Yeah, I agree. That could have happened because the banks were threatening our government, basically. And yes, it probably could have got a lot worse, probably would have got a lot worse. But the problem is we should have let it happen, because we're just setting ourselves up for a bigger failure in the future. I'm 49 years old. It may be 29 years from now. 20 years from now when I'm 79. And I really wouldn't give a shit by then. But for the future generations, I would rather our country fail now and let's get on the road to recovery. And by the generation, and I don't have any kids, of course, don't have any grandkids. I don't have any kids, period. But the friends that I do have, my cousins, my sister, blah, 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 her kids may have a better future if we go ahead and let this son of a bitch collapse and rebuild it and do it better. We probably still fuck it up, but maybe we could do it better. Maybe we could see our mistakes. I doubt it, but it's going to fail. And the longer we put it off, the harder it's going to fail. It may end up, if it ends up being 50 years from now when it collapses, it probably literally will be Mad Max apocalypse. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be nasty. And I don't want that future for America. I enjoy sitting here, smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, talking to you guys and gals, but I would rather just put your big boy pants on and let's fucking fix this shit. Just my opinion, the way I think. I know I'm a stupid redneck, but anyway.
Anyway, good to see you, Blue. Hi, Parwell. Nice to see you. Well, yeah, we can look at it. I think failure is unthinkable, and I think as a result of that, it just attenuates the problem. It draws it out further, and it makes it larger when it happens. But that's why you guys prep. That's why I prep. So to be ready to survive in that type of situation, whenever, like you said, it could be 29 years, it could be 29 days. Who in the hell knows? So,
well, even Russia failed. And right now, we'll see what happens in the future for Venezuela. But even Russia, failed and collapsed. And now they're actually thriving. they rebuilt and changed
But you know
things.
what?
And
But you know what? They've continued to pay their debt. They didn't repudiate their debt, not like Venezuela or that. They've continued to make good on their obligations even through a change of government communism to socialism to communism, because they know nobody would ever lend them a dime again if they didn't continue to make good. They all need those loans and that money.
But they went through some hard times.
The citizens suffered dramatically, and when you had the government, it's going to be like this country. It's going to be on a much more epic scale, because those people were used to a very meager existence under communism, which I define as equal misery for all. They had a very meager existence, so they didn't have to fall far. You can't fall off the floor when you're not living the high life, right? But in this country, we can really fall a lot further than off the floor. I mean, we're used to the government doing everything for us and being there for everything that comes along and catering to every whim of every special interest group and things like that. So,
okay, can we change gears just a little bit?
Yep.
All right. What do you think? Since we're talking government and blah blah blah, my ideas of government control and stuff. We're still going to talk economics here for a minute. Sorry, everybody out there. But do you think, now this is a conspiracy. Let me put my tinfoil hat on. This is my conspiracy theory.
You look like a sailor.
Actually, a Dixie cup. This is my sailor hat. I just wrapped tinfoil around it. For those that don't know, I was in the Navy. Anyway, do you think there is a actual, now this is just me, y'all shoot me down if you think I'm off base here, do you think the whole welfare, food stamp, and all the government handouts that are done, do you think that's a type of control to control people, put them in a box to where, hey, I'm doing all this for you, so you do whatever I tell you to do? Do you think there's something to that?
Well, if you ask me, I think it evolved that way. I don't think it's set out to be that way, to control. I think it's set out as just general aid to help people survive and put food on the table and put a roof over their head. But as they've enabled multiple generations of this, it's come to be seen as a God-given right as an American that the government's going to take. It's the government's responsibility to take care of you. So therefore, you see the Democratic Party usually aligns to try to cultivate and to recruit that sort of element that is dependent on government to build the base of the party. So I think very much they have an interest in that, in grooming and maintaining that what I call the sort of needy class there.
Yeah, I'd like to say it may have started out with good intent, but I think it's ended up being a form of control by the government, which if you do enough research, you realize any form of government is a form of control of the citizens, for good or bad or indifferent. It's a way to control people. I think our founders had a good intention, and they did the best they could to lay down a blueprint for running the government. I think it's just gone amok, and that's why we're all here talking about it.
Bottom line is economic success has the seeds of its own problems, because people assume that the country's going to be wealthy forever, and they start hitching all their wagons of dreams, do-gooder things on it, and then when times get tough, it's hard to unhitch the wagons, and we all go over the cliff as a result of our own stupidity and developing generations and enabling generations of people to be unproductive and live rather well.
Well,
that's my opinion.
Yeah. There's a lot. If what I got hit on YouTube, what was it, like a year ago or something like that? for the copyright infringement, where they came down hard and heavy on me, and I couldn't do chats and had to do it on the my Fun Fisher channel or whatever. But anyway, which since has been took down, of course. But in a nutshell, if you go look up, and you can find it, it's out there. That's how I found it. Paul Harvey's "If I Were the Devil." Just go back and watch that. I think you usually have to find it in 3 parts. If I Was the Devil, and he goes through, and it is a awesome speech. It was actually a radio show that he done that, and it really puts things in perspective. Even in the 60s, he was talking about drugging up our kids, and just different things, and even our entertainment today. He was talking about that in the 60s. The man was a damn near fucking prophet. But anyway, just want to throw that out there.
I like it.
All right. And since Parlusk is here, and I'm going to change gears, I figured out how to get my shotgun apart. It is unloaded, for anybody who wants to know. Not that I really give a shit about you safety Sallies out there, but anyway, there it is.
Look how pretty that is. Somebody said something the other day. It's a nightlight for a gunfight. I wish I'd have thought about that before we did our slogan. I would have went with nightlight for a gunfight.
I've gotten at least one comment about, it's going to give your position away. It's like, Dave, if you unloaded a damn shotgun, I mean, think about it. If I unloaded a 12-gauge shotgun and those sons of bitches didn't know where I was, that little fucking light is not going to all of a sudden, oh, there he is. Never mind the muzzle blast from a 12-gauge shotgun out of an 18-inch barrel.
Well, too,
how stupid is that?
You should never reload in the open anyways. Like, who in the world fires a weapon out in the open? For one, when you're firing a weapon, you should be moving to cover concealment. As soon as you shoot the gun, you should be on the move. You shouldn't stand still. And then once you're empty, you just don't stand out in the middle of the open and start reloading. I mean, you get down wherever you can to reload. This is the same people that say you shouldn't carry a nickel-plated gun or a stainless gun because the reflection of the gun will give your position away. I mean, people put flashlights on their shotgun. I mean, come on.
Well, the first problem is you're listening to them.
Yeah, well.
Second problem is, like you said, they probably haven't shot in battle. Not to say that I have, but
we had a.
And it depends on who you're shooting against, because if you're shooting against an active gangbanger, more than likely your best option is not to move, because they usually kill everybody around you. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, too, if you watch Cutlery Lover's video, he's in complete darkness. And he gets like within 2 feet of the camera, and you still can't see it until he turns it upside down and puts his hand near it. I mean, we designed it to not be visible, or to only be visible to the shooter. But we had one guy comment, and he said, it was hilarious. I screenshotted it. He said, in my career as I'm trying to think how he worded it. I'll have to go back and look it up. He said, property law enforcement officer. So what he is he's a security guard for like a subdivision. But he said, in my career as a property law enforcement officer, I'm in charge of all the weapons, and shotguns being one, and I would never put this in one of my guns. And I was like, so you're a security guard, right? And he wouldn't answer.
See, you can make names for anything. When I was 13 years old, I worked at my uncle's gas station pumping gas. And I, at 13, was a petroleum transfer engineer. So you can word just about anything to sound great.
Well, I used to teach for several private military companies. I would teach their CBurn classes. So So I guess I'm a private military contractor.
Yep. Wrote a song about it.
Yep. I got a hat too somewhere. But yeah, one of the other guys that got onto it, it was hilarious too. He's a blogger and whatever, and when you go to his website, his biography, the first thing it says is after an early medical discharge from Marine Corps boot camp. Like, he put that in his biography. Like, after an early medical discharge from Marine Corps boot camp, I went to whatever gun school. It's like, why would you even put that? Like after I failed my MEPS test, I think it's hilarious. But I mean, the thing about it is, in a marketing standpoint, if you have a bad experience or you don't like something, you're more apt to tell somebody than if you have a good experience and you do like something. So one of the dudes shared our video and was hating on it, and it got like, I don't know, 10,000 views on Facebook, and then orders just started pouring in. So,
well, the law of averages, it may have changed. If you do a good job for somebody, that person will probably tell an average of 4 people. If you do a shitty job, they'll average is 13.
Yeah.
You know, if I take my truck in to get worked on and they do a good job for me, I may tell 3 or 4 or 5 people. Rip me off, I'll tell every fucking body.
Oh, yeah.
So word of mouth is good, but at the same time, it can be bad. But, you know, I mean, if people are, if they have 2 brain cells bouncing around their head, sometimes they can read through the BS. And if anybody thinks that right there is going to give my position away, after I've done unloaded 6 rounds.
At the camera.
After I've unloaded 6 rounds of ammo, you think that little LED nightlight is all of a sudden a disadvantage?
Well,
point your freaking mind.
Point the end of the gun at the camera.
There you go.
You can't. I'll show you now. You can't.
Let me get it flashing again. It might hurt my ears. I hope I didn't hurt y'all's. Can't get it to come back on. There it goes. All right. It's flashing. Do you see it? There it is.
I don't see shit. Except boom.
Okay, I'm in complete darkness. I'm probably a foot away from the camera. Let me make sure it's in safety. I'd hate to blow a hole through my wall. That's in complete darkness.
Exactly. All that is a little aid to help you know where to go to throw the next shell. And as soon as you put the first shell in it, you can't see the light, even looking at with the shotgun in your hand.
But the good part is once you rack it out, you can see down in the chamber that it's empty. So once you throw it sideways on your last round, it lets you know that you're empty, and then you tack reload. You throw 1 in there, then you turn it upside down, and then you'll get 2 reloads in before it stops, before you can't see the light anymore.
My comment is that a dirty gun. Clean a gun. What the hell's that? I can't remember the last time I cleaned a gun.
It's hard to be that bored.
You know, that's what they make this and stuff. You just squirt it down every once in a while and keep running. That's all I do. WD-40, I don't care.
My AKs, I just hold them open and spray them full of WD-40 and just put them back in the gun safe.
Yeah, I like ranting hits. Shotguns don't need to be cleaned. Woo, there you go.
I know when I was down at Farmageddon last time, I was thinking, I was like, you know, I hadn't cleaned any of my guns, and I had my Glock and AK, and I had some WD-40 in the truck. I just opened them up and doused them down a little bit. All right, we're good to go. Wiped off the excess. I'm good.
That's all you need. That's all you
Well,
need.
over in the Middle East, they dip them down in full things of diesel fuel. That's how they clean their AKs. They'll take the stock off of it, dip it down in diesel fuel, and then they'll take bootlaces and tie knots in them and pull them through the barrel.
There you go.
I take that back. I do clean my guns at least once a year, maybe every 2 years, whether it needs it or not.
The only thing that I clean a lot is my carry gun after I shoot it and a 22, because 22s are nasty. You have to, I mean, you put 10 rounds through a 22 and it looks like you put 100,000 rounds through it.
That is true. It always seems like it shaves a little bit of the bullet. There's that little tiny sliver of lead.
Yep.
Plus the powder. Now it looks like the storm started to slow down. That's a good thing. Yeah, cleaning your carry gun's a good idea.
You see Fat Man's comment out there. I'm not going to say it, but that's pretty good. Inside joke. Anyway. What's up, Blue? You hadn't said anything yet. Talk to us.
Suspiciously quiet.
As fuck. I wasn't even going to jump on here, and I was like, yeah, well, what the hell? Let's go out and see what's going on. Been one of them weeks. Not enough sleep and too much other activities.
Damn it, Blue.
You going on vacation or anything, Blue?
No, it was just this weekend was a bitch. It was like 100% humidity, and we were out at a camp for a wedding all weekend, and that really, I'll tell you what, that wore me out more than I've been worn out in a long time, and I just haven't recovered yet. Good time, don't get me wrong, but damn. You know, it was like 85, 90 degrees with 100% humidity, and now it's like 60, 66 and kind of chilly out. It's like, what the fuck is this weather doing?
I'm not old, but the older I get, the more of a bitch I become when it comes to hot weather. I hate hot weather. Like, I'm so ready for it to cool off. Like, I just turn into a whining little girl every time it gets hot outside.
That's what I do when I show up to work every time in California. I'm like, what in the hell? I landed on the sun. This is stupid. I need me a ticket to go home.
I don't care. I freaking hate winter. Y'all can have it. It's too cold in South Carolina for me. I'll sweat in the summertime. I don't give a damn. When it gets below 60 degrees, I'm the whiny bitch in the corner. Like, damn it, is cold.
But you're used to that hot weather all the time. We're not.
I like it hot too.
That's because you only weigh like $105 TR, and you're like 6 feet tall. Ain't no meat on them bones, buddy.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the hotter weather over fucking shoveling 3 feet of snow out of my driveway, but it was fucking hot. I see some of the temperatures people were putting out there, what it is right now, and it's like, no, it's nighttime. It shouldn't be that hot.
When I become a billionaire, I'm going to find like 4 different locations where it stays 70 degrees year round. So like, I'll start out at 70 degrees. When it starts to go up, I'll move to my other house where it's 70 degrees, and then I'll just do a complete rotation and stay at 70 degrees.
Now, I will admit, I do enjoy fall and spring. Don't get me wrong. I don't really like 99 degrees and a 97% humidity. But as soon as I start bitching about it, I think about it being 20. And I'm like, nah, I'm good.
20.
I'll just sweat. Bitch about this, because in a few months I'm going to be bitching about how cold it is.
I think we just like to bitch about it just to bitch. I think it makes us feel better just to complain about something.
Well, hell yeah. What is
A little bit change of subject. Here's my toast to C-Max. I won this Yeti cup here from C-Max, and want to send out some good thoughts to him. I know some people are helping him out, and I think it's great that the YouTube community pulls together and helps out a fellow YouTuber.
Yeah, they're doing.
Not trying to bring chat down, just
The support is huge. I love
Crazy
it.
Creed's doing a giveaway. Can you put that in the external, or have you already done that?
Hey, yeah, I put the actual link to the C-Max's. Well, actually, that's why I sent it to you, because it was still on my copy thing where you go to his website. But let me look up the Crazy Scotsman, and I'll put that out there too.
Scotsman.
Yeah, the Crazy Scotsman. Great. Dirt Road also put in an AR minus the lower. So you go in and you do some donating, and it'll get you some tickets.
I think he's got 1,000 rounds of 5.56, a sweet gun vise, a gun cleaning kit, and then they're putting in a that complete AR minus the lower, and then I'm sending out a bunch of followers tomorrow for it too. And then
I think it's 9mm though, right?
What's that?
I think it's 9mm.
I thought it was 5.56. Maybe it was 9mm.
No, but it's awesome. A lot of great support.
Yeah, it's 9mm, but it's 1,000. It's 1,000 rounds of 9mm, but that's still pretty awesome, man.
Hell yeah!
I think I'd rather have 1,000 rounds of 9 than 5.56.
Yeah, I think more people will be able to use that.
Yeah, 9.
Even Rosie.
That's
Rosie's
right.
got her 9.
Thousands of 9 here. Yeah. 38 9mm. Go, baby, go.
Isn't there a limit on how much ammunition you can hold in California before you have to register it? I'm just kidding.
You have to smuggle it.
Lou's going to report me. He's going to get on the interwebs with the cops here.
Did you guys see any of the articles? I didn't read it. I just, because like I said, this has been a bad fucking week. But the somebody hacked into a fucking smart gun and shot it. Did you guys see that?
No.
No.
That's hilarious.
Good. That's actually awesome. Because that's one less thing that we got to worry about.
Let's see if I can find the article. It came across my screen a couple times today, and I wanted to click on it, but I didn't have time.
It's pretty scary. They can hack vehicles real easy now. They can hack them, turn your brakes on, shut your. I mean, OnStar and police chases can shut vehicles off easily. But now, I mean, they can control the brakes, the gas, the turning, where you have that automatic turn. I mean, anything with that, they can hack it and control your whole vehicle.
That's scary.
If you type in Google hacker fires smart gun, there is article after article after article of this happening with $15 worth of magnets.
If it's got a chip in it, it can be hacked. Period.
Yep.
Period. And I tell you, I know I talked to some guys at Farmageddon. I think Blue was standing there. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, this technology where your car will stop on its own if something's in the way, I foresee that being a bad thing. I don't even really want to talk about this, but I doubt I got too many thieves out there watching this show right now. But let's just say slow moving traffic in a city. All you gotta do is stop. Somebody has to step in front of a vehicle. Somebody has to step behind a vehicle. And guess what? Your car won't fucking move.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can carjack you, rob you, pull you out, rape you, whatever the fuck they want to do, because you can't run over them. Do you really want this technology in your car?
Hell no. Shoot them in the face.
I'm just saying. It's just a matter of time before these thugs figure this shit out, and they'll start using it. All they got to do is step in front of a car. It'll stop on its own. Somebody step behind them. The car won't back up. You're trapped. What are you going to do? You better have a fucking gun.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's even like I don't think it's considered the smart car, but like OnStar, that type of shit. You know, you report your car stolen, they can shut that bitch down immediately. the cops get behind it in a chase or whatever. I mean, that type of application I think is okay. However, if we can use it, so can somebody else. And could you imagine if somebody hacked OnStar's system and shut down every car that had OnStar in it? That'd be lock everywhere. And Christ,
and just because your OnStar is hooked up or not hooked up or activated, they can still do it.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's been stories of hackers getting into like major cities traffic light systems and just shutting it down, or the rail systems and shutting it down. It doesn't happen often, but I've seen it.
Hell, look at Russia. They hacked the DNC and let their secrets out. I'm sorry, I just had to jump in.
You just got put on the list again, TR. Back on the list for you, my friend. Back on the list. Well, that's like the micro stamping for California and all that, and all the push and the forward movement to that. Then you got the smart gun that won't work unless you have a band on or fingerprints, or technology can be an evil, evil, evil thing.
Have you already talked about the microchipping that the company's doing now? That they just started. There's a bunch of press releases on it today.
Yeah, I seen that on Facebook. It's flooded Facebook with
Wisconsin company, First Nation, to offer microchips to its employees.
What could go wrong with that? Let's just put this little thing the size of a piece of rice between your index finger and your thumb, and that's how you now get into the building. That's how you fucking pay for food. Fuck them.
They're gonna make it so it's all cool, and that's like the phones where you could go and pay. Now you won't need a phone. You know,
they're gonna make it with ricin in it, so when you're a bad little boy, they just activate the ricin and you die.
I'm surprised they don't put it just right in the middle of your spine, like that one old Schwarzenegger movie where they have the necklace. TR's been bad. He said too much shit on his chat. Boom! Little C4 and decapitation. Having simplicity is not always the best.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it the old-fashioned way is sometimes better. But who owns a flip phone? Any of you guys own a flip phone?
I still have one. I don't use it.
I don't use it, but we have these damn things because it is convenient. You know, you got everything on it. Compass.
If you've ever read the terms and conditions of any app that you have on your smartphone, it will freak you out. I installed a flashlight not too long ago, and it's like I gave them permission to view and read emails, view and read pictures, send emails, receive emails. I mean, it is crazy what you agree to on your smartphone.
Your call log, your contacts, they can activate your camera, they can activate your microphone. It's like, what the fuck?
And you, like, I keep my whatever off, my location off, but it turns on all the time. It's probably on right now. And then, like, I'll go somewhere, and then, like, I went to Lowe's the other day, and I walked out of Lowe's, and something popped up on my screen that was like, rate your whatever at Lowe's. Like, give us your feedback of Lowe's.
I have that happen too from time to time. Like you say, I got my location turned off, and I'll go to a restaurant and pick up some food, and then a few minutes later, boom, it pops up. Yeah, rate. How was your visit with whatever? And I'm like, what the fuck?
Divas of the night.
And a lot of people don't know this either, but if you have a Google account on your phone, Google tracks wherever your phone goes. Like, you can go into it, and it'll show you, like, where you've been all day, like a whole map of where you went to.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got a quick little story on that. I don't know how it works. I don't know. But, you know, for those that, anyway, I've been traveling back and forth from Nashville a good bit here lately. Anyway, and it's amazing how accurate lets you know how long you're going to, you know, it's keeping up with your speed. Of course, you have to turn location on using the GPS. And anyway, so it's amazing how accurate it is. But like one day I was driving up there and there was like one little bitty red spot, one little bitty spot that was saying, you know, like traffic is stopped right here. It wasn't yellow around it. I didn't get any notification. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Why would it say that one little spot is stopped? And as I come up on it, there's a car on the side of the road. And so my thinking is they're using other people's GPS to track how fast traffic is moving, when there's traffic delays, just off our phones to know immediately, hey, there's a slowdown here. There's this, there's that. And I just thought that was kind of weird. It was like, I kind of felt like they was doing that, but I didn't know it. But it kind of proved it. The fact that this one car was stopped on the side of the road. They probably had an Android phone. And their GPS was showing there was a dead stop in the middle of the road. Well, they was off to the side, but you know what I'm saying? But it actually showed up on my GPS that boom, there's just something happening right here.
And that's got to be exactly what that is, because whenever I drove down to Farmageddon, you know, same thing. You'd be driving along, and I had my tablet. I was using it for the GPS, so I didn't have to, you know, waste my phone for it. But you could tell whenever you were coming up to places that were slowing down or something, it would turn orange, or if it was a deadlock, it turned red. And if the phone picked it up before I got to that location, it's like average wait time or average whatever, we can reroute you, and it's, you know, 5 minutes faster to go around this way, which was pretty cool. But that's got to be how they use it, because I mean, I used the Google Map application the whole way down, but I'm sure that's running in the background, and they kind of know. I mean, Christ, if you pull out your phone right now and you look at your Google Map, it's going to show you, you know, in your house, you're facing south and you're not moving. They know you're not on a road. But yeah, it's I don't want to say it's creepy, but just, you know, think about it. If you ever go on a crime spree and you have your fucking phone in your pocket.
I mean, I see the benefits from that, especially if they can tell you that traffic stopped ahead. But it is kind of, if it's done for the right reason, it's a good thing. But having somebody have control over it that can do it for the wrong reason is what's scary.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Just like Blue's saying, there's been a couple of times I'm headed up the road and it says, boom, there's a slow down, blah, blah, blah. Here's an alternate route that'll save you 27 minutes. Do you accept it? And you click, yeah, and it'll reroute you, and you go around the accident or whatever. But it is kind of creepy, you know, because it's like, yeah, they know where I'm going because I already put a destination in there. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, I mean, it's good and bad, but I mean, for the intent and purposes of me traveling, it's good. But at the same time, that could be used against you too, you know. So, yeah, they know where the fuck you are.
What's that one app that has all the radar on it? There's one app that shows all the police radar.
Oh, like 50 radio? That one?
Dude, there's one called speedtrap.net.
These new radar detectors.
Isn't there one called Waze, WAZE, that always shows where the police are up the road and all that? WAZE, Waze. We use it in the RV community a lot.
I think the new radar detectors have Bluetooth built into them that you can put on that app. So whenever it you know, alerts or gets the signal, it goes through Bluetooth and shoots it out to the satellite so everybody knows where it's at. I know when they first come out, you had to, when you passed an officer, you had to click the location of where you were at, but they're getting a lot more technical now.
Yeah, I've seen the ones where you got to hit the button. If there's a car wreck, you hit the button or whatever it is, you know, a cop. I've never seen one that just takes the information. That's pretty cool.
Those damn cops.
Damn it, Blue.
Yeah,
We have
To serve
Like-
and protect.
and this is what I don't like. In Virginia, DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, will pay officers on their day off to write tickets. And that's what they do. Like, they'll pay them whatever per shift, and all they do is go out and write tickets. Now, how is that? That's like the guy. That's like having the guy that owns the local town tire shop being able to write tickets for low tread on tires. Or like, I mean, but that's all they do is they go out and sit and write tickets for seat belts or whatever violations.
Yeah, we have that here.
The DMV pays for that?
No, it's a federal program.
The one in Virginia is a state program that DMV pays for.
What the
I'm
hell?
sure there's a federal.
National Highway Safety something. They pay. They'll put out. You know, it's like from this date to this date, we're going to give your department, let's just say, $2,500. If you use it, you use it. If you don't, you don't. So guys will sign up for it. Of course, it's overtime, and it's easy overtime, so everybody does it.
But that's like, I mean, there's such a conflict of interest. As a company is paying for somebody to write tickets that's going to bring them income into it. I mean, it's crazy. But they do the worst road checks here at home. They'll like one of the state officers all the time right off the exit of a 4-lane. I mean, right as soon as you pop the hill, he's sitting right there. And it only takes a little bit to get backed up, and then you have people exiting at 55 miles an hour, and there's a road check right there. But they think, and they do it in blind curves all the time too.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. We have a lot more regulations in Pennsylvania that if they set up any type of a roadblock or anything like that for a seatbelt check, which we don't do that very often at all anymore, but you have to, Christ, I think it's a half mile ahead of it. You have to put signs up, seatbelt check ahead, and then so many, like 100 yards, you have to have another sign. I mean, it's very well marked, and you can't do it to where an individual coming down the road doesn't have an avenue of basically escape. Like if they don't want to go through it, they can cut up a side street, they can do this, they can do that. I mean, but yeah.
Here in Virginia, they've set them up like, here you go through a blind curve, and then right there's a big line of officers checking driver's license.
One of those places where you get on a one-way street and there's no fucking way to get. Yeah,
I don't agree with them. I think those are unconstitutional. I don't agree with them. I get the intent, but I don't agree with them, and I think they should be illegal. That's just my personal opinion.
They do them here between the Virginia and Kentucky border on the main 4-lane. I mean, it's like an interstate. It's a 4-lane, and they do them right on the Virginia, and there's nowhere to turn or nothing. And I got into a huge argument not too long ago. They said the Supreme Court says it's constitutional because they're searching everybody. I mean, what sense does that make? So you mean to tell me if the Supreme Court says that they can just walk into everybody's house and search because they're doing it to everybody, that makes it constitutional?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's you're guilty till proven innocent. That's the whole backwards thing about it. I've been on I-40 coming back from a NASCAR race. This was decades ago. They shut the entire fucking interstate down and did a license check. An interstate. Are you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in PA, those are still unconstitutional. I mean, we have so many. If we set one of those up, we have so many rules that if it gets backed up to like whatever, like I forget what the sign is from the first one. If it gets backed up, you're mandated to let it go. And then once you let it go, so that it's not, oh wait, here comes a shit car, let's stop this one. You have somebody on the line that has to run a stopwatch. And I think it's like after you like technically shut it down to let people go through, it's like 3 minutes. I mean, you could have no cars at all, or it could be, and then after 3 minutes, you're allowed to start it back up. And then, you know, if it backs up again, you have to do that same thing. But we have so many rules to do it here. I'm not finding it hard to believe that other states are, you know, setting up on one ways or fucking interstates. That's retarded. But I've seen the pictures to where, you know, a 4-lane highway, those fuckers have it coned off starting a mile away, narrowing it down to 1 lane, and then everybody's all backed up. It's like, what the hell? And they do it all night. They don't care. Damn.
Well, Scotty said they were looking for somebody. That could be the case, but I think it's because it was a NASCAR race and you had 150,000 people leaving one location, many of them drinking. I think they were just trying to weed out the drunks driving down the road, and I get that, but at the same time, if you pull me over without provocation, without a reason, and want to see my identification and all that, I mean, to me, you're breaking my constitutional rights. If you don't have no right to pull me over and ask for my identification, period, unless you suspect me of a crime.
Yeah. You can tell when,
oh, he's driving a truck, I suspect him of a crime.
I live an hour from Bristol, but anytime they have the Bristol race, from the time you hit the Virginia border till you hit the Kentucky border, it's probably like an hour and a half. And there's cops lined. Like every 10 miles, there's a cop on the side of the road, and they just nail out-of-state people the whole way through. And one of the smaller departments that's on the Kentucky border close to me, the mayor made a comment the other day that Kentucky is going to pay for their new police cruiser because they nail people from coming into work from Kentucky all the time. And it was like they about had his head on a chopping block.
Yeah, there's a difference between knowing it and just coming out and saying it. You know, I mean, that's
no, he screwed up and come out and said it. And I don't think that he meant it that way, but that's the way it came.
Mm-hmm. The only roadblocks that we're allowed to do to where, I mean, it's as unconstitutional as all get out, but we don't ask people for their identification. We don't ask them for, you know, insurance, registration. And even if like your inspection's out, your registration's out as you go by, you don't even stop the person for it. We're allowed to do it for like informational. Like, let's say that a jogger was hit on the side of the road and, you know, the person fled the area and didn't do that. They allow us to stop everybody, you know, that let's say like the next day and the next day and the next day between, like, let's say the guy was hit at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, you can set a roadblock up at, you know, 7 a.m. to like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. and stop everybody. Hey, you know, we're looking for information. Did you happen to see anything? That type of deal. That's the only, but we're not allowed to ask for anything, you know, no license, no registration. It's just simply, you know, we're here, we're investigating this. Did you see anything? Yes, no. Okay. See ya. And it's that quick of a contact, but I kind of agree.
I'll tell you a little pet peeve of mine, and you guys may or may not agree with me. And it's cool, however you want to do it. I tell you one thing that pisses me off about other YouTubers. They're not friends of mine. They're not friends of yours. I know. Well, I would think. The ones that go out of their way to have a police confrontation just to make a YouTube video saying that you don't have a right to check my ID or ask me a question, or I got an AK-47 strapped over my back and I'm walking down the sidewalk. Well, why are you harassing me? And they want to start spelling off the Constitution, all that. But they did it just to make a fucking YouTube video. That shit crawls up my ass. I hate that.
That's one thing I've yet to run into. I'm waiting for it, but
I don't know.
It's like, what I'll do is I was like, "You got a YouTube channel?" "Oh yeah, I do." I'm like, "Well, hold on a minute." I'll pull my phone out. I'm like, "Hey guys, it's Blue. I'm on the side of the road with, what's your name again?"
Yeah, just fuck them up. Because I've actually seen a few videos where they tried to do that, And the cop was like, okay, cool. Oh, and I literally seen him. Oh, you're doing a YouTube video? Okay, cool. Well, I just wanted to check, make sure everything's cool. You're all right. You know, blah, blah, blah. You legal, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, have a good day. And it almost like fucks him up.
Yeah, they're banking on the cop being a dick. And that's the same way, like, you know, the one guy at work that everybody gives hell, and the only reason they give hell to him is because he gets pissed off. And, like, if he would just chill out and just be like, ah, fuck you, you know, he would quit. But every time you give him hell, he just gets more and more and more pissed. Like, that's the same scenario.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there was a video within the last 8 months of, I think there was 3 guys. 2 of them had AKs strapped across the fucking front of them, and they walk into a fucking police department to file a complaint. And they all had video cameras, GoPros, and all that other shit. And they walked into a police department armed like that to file a quote unquote complaint. And, you know, with all the fucking, you know, shootings that have been going on at police stations and everything else, the fucking hallways just, I mean, they went into a big department. There were people coming down steps from the 2nd floor, coming outside, get on the ground, blah, blah. And these guys are sitting there fucking arguing with them. You have no right to do this. We're just here to file a complaint about this, and it's our right to be our. It's like, are you a fucking idiot? I mean,
and they had their faces covered too.
Oh, did they? I didn't see that part.
Yeah, the one that I saw, they had their faces. If I was an officer, I'd have shot them on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get shot, we'll go ahead and tell you how to get shot. Walk into a police department with an AK-47 strapped across your front. If you want to die, let me go ahead and tell you, that's a good way to go. It's a good way, a good chance you're going to get fucking shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't have any remorse for your fucking dumb ass.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what state it is, but this was just within the last fucking week. A guy was taking his wife to the hospital. She was in labor, 108 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. Cops got behind him, chased him for 5 miles. He finally pulls over. Of course, he gets fucking arrested, and they call for an ambulance to take her the rest of the way. And now they're like on all these TV stations of how they were wrongly treated, and the guy missed the birth of his first child because he got arrested whenever he was just trying to get her to the fucking hospital. I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? 108 miles an hour with a cop behind you for 5 miles, and you're going in and out of fucking traffic. I mean, I can see, I mean, we used to, no, not anymore, but we used to have a hospital like in the area where I worked, and I'd be sitting there running speed, and you have somebody go by at like, 80 and a 45 or something, and you pull them over, and, you walk up, and of course everybody's all, if there's an actual emergency, they're panicked. And the one time I walked up, there's a person driving, person in the passenger seat, and I was like, I always say something smart. It's like, wow, where the hell's the fire? Or, what's the need for going so goddamn fast? And the passenger leaned up, and he's got his fucking hand in a soaked, bloody thing. And he's like, table saw accident. I got my 4 fingers in the bag right next to me on ice. And I'm like, we were like 2 miles from the hospital. So instead of waiting for an ambulance to come to us to go the rest of the fucking way, I was like, get on my fucking bumper and don't fucking leave. And I fucking 80 miles an hour the rest of the way to the fucking hospital. It was like, I mean, it's I mean, it's a 4-lane highway. Was it unsafe? Yeah, but dude lost his fucking 4 fingers. It was like, let's get on my ass and let's go.
That's what should happen.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's what should happen.
Yeah, pull over, explain the situation quickly, and the cop better have enough goddamn common sense that I don't care if you're telling me that you're having a heart attack, you're having this, you're having that. You either get a fucking ambulance started there immediately, or like where we were, less than 2 miles from the hospital, was like, get on my ass, let's go. And I gave him fucking escort the whole way up through the
yeah. I mean, just if I had like a chainsaw accident or something like that, I would die before an ambulance got to my house.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to have to drive me, or I have to drive myself to the hospital. And I would hope that if I was speeding and a cop pulled me over, he would have that common sense too, to say, get in my car,
mm-hmm.
whatever, shove them in the seat. Let's go.
Yep.
You know, because no one getting well is going to be a freaking 30 minutes before a damn ambulance shows up here. In the meantime, in 10 minutes, we could be at the hospital.
Yep. Yeah. Or if, like you're saying, I mean, it's still 10 minutes. Have an ambulance start this way. If we see it, we'll fucking stop for it and throw you in the rig. You know, I mean, that's the one thing that's always irritated me is why there's a waste of time. You know, it's not like, oh, what were you going 80 miles an hour for? Oh, I had to poop. You know, yeah, that is an emergency in some situations, but you know, there's a difference between I got a shit and I got 4 fingers in the bag, or I've got a slice across my leg.
He should have held the bag of fingers out the window when he passed you.
He's dropping dope. He's dropping dope. I need more units.
Most of the time, you can get to a hospital before an ambulance can get to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know around here, even with quick response times, I mean, I'm 5 miles from the hospital. The ambulance or the rescue squad's 2 miles from me. I can beat them to the hospital anytime.
Mm-hmm. Especially whenever you have all these assholes that call an ambulance because their big toe hurts, or all the ambulances are tied up on huge emergencies, and God, I hear those calls coming.
They're not paying for it in most cases. So
mm-hmm.
Usually a Medicaid run or something.
We used to get those, and they wait till like, oh, I got sick at like 4 o'clock today, and then they wait till like 2 in the morning to call you out.
Oh, my back's been hurting for a week, but tonight I just couldn't sleep, so I had to call an ambulance instead of like fucking driving myself or having the wife take me.
The reason why they do that is because if you come in by ambulance, you go straight in the back door into the ER. But if you go by a personal vehicle, you got to go register. The hospitals here, if it's a non-emergency, as soon as they show up at the hospital, the ER doc will make you go out and around and register to get in.
Yep.
Well, they try to triage it quick. Speaking from the medical side, they'll pretty quick assess if you're having chest pain or something. You're going to jump the line and go back. Let me tell you, guaranteed.
But now they know what they need to say. They know what they need to say to get in quick. Like, I'm dizzy and my chest hurts, and they take you right in. They know how to do that now.
I think Guido had the best comment. He said, my wife is trying to get pregnant, and I'd like to be there when it happens. I'm in a hurry. For those that get that joke.
Yeah, our hospitals have started the same thing. They have like the ER, and then what the hell do they call the next thing? The quick
care.
Yeah, then
urgent care.
Yep, they have that built in, and then but still they freaking tell people straight up they come in the back door on an ambulance ride because their knee hurts or their fucking big toe hurts. That right past the ER and back out into the waiting room.
Yep, it's only right.
Yeah, when you drive to the emergency room, you get put on a list and it's like, take a number. You could be freaking literally dying. And if somebody's in front of you with the flu, they're in front of you, period. It doesn't matter if you're whatever's happening. I've experienced this a couple of times. And maybe they've changed it now. This was 10 years ago. But you could be literally dying. If you drive yourself there, you'll get put on a list, take a number. Doesn't matter, oh, this person stumped their toe. They're in front of you. Doesn't matter you're coughing up blood or whatever. Horrible experiences. I hate the healthcare system. I literally, utterly hate it.
Stroke and heart attack, they try to move to the front. Because you have very limited time on a stroke because tremendous damage is being done by the blockage and everything. If you come in with pronounced weakness on the side and slurring, and they know pretty quick you're not drunk or drinking.
Yeah, the best thing to do is just make drool out of one side, and when you talk, make it like shrink down, and they'll take you right in.
That's right. And when they tell you to grab their hands, just
but then
squeeze
they
on
do
one
that.
side.
You do that, they might shoot you full of something, makes your pecker fall off because you know you're into just bullshit the system, and you come out in worse shape than you ever went in going in there. That's the danger of that.
Yeah, but
Try to
TR,
stay out of hospitals at all costs, guys. Okay, all costs.
They are supposed to triage you, TR, but I have heard of problems like that. But there's a big misconception that if you get transported via ambulance, you'll get seen first, and it does happen. But for the most part, they're supposed to triage you. If you come in, you drove in with a heart attack.
When you're in an ambulance, they're calling ahead and they're describing or talking to somebody, usually an ER doctor or something.
Whatever.
Kind of figuring stuff.
That don't happen all the time.
I had 2 bad experiences in the ER, and they concerned my wife. One time, she was literally in so much pain that I went and found a wastebasket, a trash can for her to throw up in. And for an hour and a half, 2 hours, she was dry heaving and, you know, all this stuff. And they were still saying, oh, this kid, you know, stumped her toe. This kid's got the flu, blah, blah, blah. They were seeing those before my wife. I was fucking in. It's a good thing I didn't have a gun on me. I think I would have shot some motherfuckers. And the second time, there again, my wife was in pain. And even my wife, there was a little girl, like fucking 11 or 12 years old. It was obvious she had a broke arm. It wasn't pointed in the right way. And again, we were seeing kids, oh, my kids have a cold or the flu or whatever. And they were seeing those over this little girl crying in a corner with her arm pointed the wrong way. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? I was fucking mad then. Even my wife was mad. You know, she needed to be seen too, but she was like, fuck that. Get that little girl in fucking mercy. Get her in the fucking room. She's hurting. Why are you seeing these kids with a fucking flu? What the fuck?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
They're seeing the kids that have the flu because it's a guaranteed payment for the hospital because welfare is paying for it.
Yep, I'm saying that. I mean, we get reports every day at the clinic what happened overnight at the hospital. And I'm not bullshit, you guys. 75–80% of that stuff is alcohol and drug related stuff coming in there. And I shudder to think how much taxpayers pay for all that shit that wanders in and slops in, you know, hit his head on the curb or whatever and transported in. It's disheartening to do that.
Yeah, we have a load of pill seekers here. There's even signs in the hospital that say we give no narcotic pain medicine in the. They put signs out because you have nothing but pill seekers. I mean, they'll run over their legs with vehicles and cut themselves and everything to get in the ER to get pills.
Yep.
Very true.
Somebody's getting an echo.
Who's getting an echo, Rosie?
All right, do you hear the echo now?
I didn't hear it before.
I caught a little bit of one earlier. I don't know which one of us was echoing. I turned my speaker down a little bit in case it was me. I don't know.
I think it is UCR.
Yeah, I heard it when TR was talking.
If it's an echo, whoever's talking, somebody else's screen will pop up. So that's usually who has the echo. So if you guys see that, let us know.
All right, am I good now? Was I causing echo? Can y'all hear it? Echo, echo, echo.
Sounds better.
No,
Sounds a lot better.
It's beater. Yankee 4 said it's beater. It was playing with you, Bobby.
Oh, it's car, huh?
We got about 15, 17 minutes. What else do we need to talk about? Let's get some groundbreaking, world-solving shit done tonight.
What happened with the healthcare bill?
I think it got.
Well, they wheeled McCain in there, and strangely, he voted to allow a vote on Thursday, and Vice Pence had to come in and break the tie 50-50 in the Senate. So they're going to pull an all-nighter supposedly on Thursday night and bring it to a vote. I don't think it'll pass with, because people like McCain already stood up and said he'll vote against the repeal because he doesn't like what's going to be what the administration has in his place. So,
I mean, I think the guy has brain cancer, but do we really need somebody with the brain tumor making decisions?
Very good point.
Yeah, well,
and I say repeal it and replace it with nothing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing they trapped Trump into was getting on the replace thing instead of just being a straight repeal off the bat.
Yeah, they need to go after the insurance company. They're the ones that are crooks.
Yeah. And then one of their points is they keep saying, I've seen these headlines, oh, this is going to put 24 million people without insurance. There's only 8 million people on Obamacare right now. So don't tell me about the potential 10 years from now. I don't give a shit about that. Right now, there's 8 million people on Obamacare. Don't tell me there's 24 million people going to lose insurance, because there's not. There's 8 million, and there's alternate ways to do this. So the government should pull out of healthcare completely. The government, through Nixon and the damn 70s, got their foot in their fucking health insurance. It has fucked it up. And if you hadn't figured it out yet, get the government out of any private enterprise, period. Period. I could see them passing a law here and there saying, okay, well, you know what, you can't do this, you can't do that, but not necessarily be directly involved in how I buy insurance, how the insurance company do this and this and this. I mean, I can understand if they see a great injustice being done and they step in then, but other than that, get the hell out of my health care coverage. I don't need you.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield, which is a huge insurance company. I guess most people on the East Coast have heard of them. They used to be they weren't publicly traded. They were owned by the members. So if you had a policy with them, that's like you didn't own stock in it, but I'm trying to think of what it's called, but you had whatever. It wasn't publicly traded, and I think the government wouldn't let them publicly trade it. And back then, healthcare rates were low, and then as soon as it went to publicly traded, I don't know if it's really publicly traded, but as soon as it went to where you could buy stock into it, the premium just like tripled.
I agree, Mark, on the side that the hospitals are as dirty as the insurance companies. See, I think the hospitals get a huge pass because they're perceived as being a good entity. But I'll tell you what, guys, it's all about the money. And they could do a much more effective job of seeing people at the door of the emergency room and saying, hey, you know what? You don't need to come to the ER. What you need to do is just make an appointment with your doctor and go to urgent care or something like that. So they're a big joke too. They get a big wide pass from a lot of people because they're perceived as helping people. In a lot of ways they do, but I'm just saying there's a lot of flim flam in the hospital.
Yeah, I know I've told the story before. I'll do a real quick short version. My buddy, a friend of mine I used to work with, his wife was a nurse at a hospital, a local hospital. and they went through a year of cutbacks, and we got to, you know, shrink down the amount of employees and let people go. So you was doing your job plus somebody else's job, blah, blah, blah. This went on for a year. And at the end of the year, the board of directors got together, which were not doctors or anything. They own car dealerships, and this guy was a CEO of a bank, blah, blah, blah. But that was the head of the freaking hospital. And they gave the president a $10 million bonus over what he was already making because he did such a good job of cutting cost.
Wow. That's a bonus for sure.
$10 million bonus over whatever millions of dollars he was making just to cut jobs, make people work harder, give less health care out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. A president of this hospital got a $10 million bonus over what he was already making. Tell me there isn't a problem with hospitals.
But that's the way it works pretty much anywhere, even being a small government place where I work. We had a guy come in, same fucking thing. He came in and put the axe down basically on just one department, which was mine, and saved the municipality that I lived in, you know, millions of dollars. And he ended up getting a huge fucking raise at the end of it. It's like, okay, what the fuck? Yeah, if he's really that concerned with saving that much money, why are you giving him a raise? He did it. Good job. Just keep doing what you're doing.
He's not concerned
Fuck no.
at all.
I mean, I order parts for our machinery at work, and I spend hours trying to figure out how I can buy this part cheaper here and there. I don't see a dime of that money. I only do it because I got a set budget. I think it's you, Blue, that's echoing, actually, because you keep popping up. Anyway, the only reason I do it is because I got a set budget. I can only spend this much money a month. So I money because that means I can buy more parts that I need. And to keep the machinery running, I got to try to budget myself so I can, instead of buying one, I can buy two of these or whatever else. But I don't see a dime of that. You know, I get trying to save money. A big bonus, don't that kind of kill the whole idea of saving money? I don't. My mind don't compute like that, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you, in my opinion, 20 years in medicine and hospital and clinical medicine, until they start putting some type of basic copay, $20-$25 on an ER visit, it's going to continue to be out of control with the spending. As soon as people have to reach into their own pocket, you'll just see a collapse of ER usage. Will just go down 75%.
Yeah, the people using the system the incorrect way,
yeah,
that will definitely shut them down. It's like I can take Tommy in because he's got a cold, but now if it's going to cost me $25 or $50,
yeah. I mean, if I have to wait a day to get into my doctor, or 2 days, or I don't want to sit in an urgent care, I might as well sit in an ER and get better responsibility, better care. Then there's, you know, you don't have any skin in the game when you just show up. Well, you think twice about it if you had to pay a bit to, you know, even something $10-$20 would keep a lot of the stupidity out.
yeah.
That's what kills me every year.
If you have somebody on the street that, you know, is passed out due to drugs or fell over, the police are bound to transport them to the hospital. You know, so therefore you have to call an ambulance comes, and that's another $2,000 for the 2-block ride to the hospital. And you know, all the paperwork's got to be filled out. The cost of this stuff is amazing. It's, this load on the system, at least here.
Every year in my hometown, we have this thing called RAM, which is remote area medical, and they have it at the local fairgrounds, and they bring in doctors from UVA Charlottesville, and they bring in dentists, and they bring in optometrists, and they set up stations throughout the entire fairgrounds, in the horse stalls, everywhere, and they give them free medical care. But I mean, you have people that show up there at like the night before and camp out in their vehicles, and then every year you have our Democratic governor coming in there, shaking hands, hugging people, talking about how bad our health care is. I would say 90% of these people have free health care as it is. And a lot of them go out there to get their teeth pulled to get pills. I mean, I think it's a good thing, but the media just, if you Google it, like the pictures that they show, it's just ridiculous. And another thing, like, why should I pay more for health care than somebody that's morbidly obese, that the doctor's been telling them for 15 years that they need to eat healthier, and you know, they need to take their medicine and all this? Why is my health care more expensive? That's like car insurance. Let's be like, my car insurance goes up because the guy beside it or my neighbor drives fast. No, it just pisses me off.
You bring up a pet peeve of mine, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think health insurance should be like car insurance. Your employer shouldn't be involved with it. Your government shouldn't be involved with it. That should be something between you and the insurance company. And they should have to cater to what I want. Just like Geico or Progressive, whoever, come to me and beg for my money, not get it automatically gave to them through my company, through the government, because of the regulations, and then they can charge whatever the fuck they want. Like, I got Blue Cross right now. I don't have any fucking choice. That's what I got. And they can charge me whatever they want, and they do. And they can cover as little as they want, and they do. Until I hit $5,000 worth of freaking charges, they don't have to pay a fucking dime. It should be like car insurance. You know, they should be calling me saying, hey, I got this. And I can say, hey, no, you know what? Blah, blah, blah said they'll give me the same coverage for this amount. Can you match that? Because you can do that with your car insurance. You can't do that with your fucking health insurance, though.
When Obamacare took over, I have Anthem too. I had a policy when I turned 21. I got a policy, and it was 100% insurance, 100% covered, and a $1,500 deductible. So after $1,500, it covered 100%. When I had my accident in 2009, the most I paid was $1,500, and I had probably $500,000 in medical bills. And I kept that policy all the way up until Obamacare came in, and I lost it. And when I went to get a new policy, one of my best friends owns an insurance company, and that's who I had it through. I went down, and he quoted me a policy, and it went up like, I don't know, I think I was paying $160 a month. It went up to like $270 a month, 80/20 insurance, with like a $3,500 deductible. And he says, it'll be cheaper for you to get on the exchange and get insurance. I got the exact same policy, exact to the T, but I got it through the exchange, and it was $100 cheaper. Now explain to me how that happened. Like, just going through the exchange, it was $100 cheaper with the exact same policy as getting it through the local insurance company. And he said if you don't write a policy within a certain period, they don't give you the guy with the insurance company, the underwriter or whatever, gets zero money for it. So you have somebody coming in wanting health insurance, and if they don't write it between this period and this period, they don't get any commission on it. But how's somebody going to help you out if they don't get any commission on it? Like, what's their incentive to help you out?
Well, like I said, all I can say is I think health insurance should not be, or government shouldn't be involved. I don't think our employers should be involved. That's just a personal opinion. It's just, my small mind wrapped around it. They don't have to compete for my business, so they can charge me whatever the fuck they want, and they do. So make it to where they have to compete for my business. Just like a car dealership trying to sell me a car, they have to entice me to come to them and then give me a deal I can't pass up if I'm looking for a car. With health insurance right now, they don't have to entice anybody. They don't give a fuck. They don't have to.
See, and I like that idea. I think that's a good idea. But also, it's depending on how large of a company you're working for, they're basically buying a plan for all their employees. And the insurance company is thinking, okay, out of these 3,000 employees, we'll have this many amount of issues or whatever over the 3,000 people. So yeah, we're going to write it at this. And there's a plus and a minus to it, because your price, think of it before Obamacare was around, right?
Yeah, but the problem with it is like a company like I work for, I don't have a choice. If I work for them, I have to have insurance. So I have to either go out and individually buy my own policy, or I have to accept their policy. And that has to do with government kickbacks and taxes and, federal regulations and shit. The company I work for gives me no fucking choice but to have insurance. Maybe I don't want insurance. That's not an option. I can't fucking work for them unless I have insurance. Now I could go get VA benefits and I don't have to opt for their VA benefits. So I don't do that. So my only choice is to get my own individual plan or have theirs. In other words, the government in a roundabout way is making me have insurance, and they're not giving me any choice.
But are they saying, okay, TR, you got plan A, which is HMO, plan B, PPO, and then you pick?
Yeah,
or
I got two choices. I do have a choice. I got two choices. One of them pays nothing almost. The other one pays a little bit.
Yeah.
Period.
No, it's definitely a screwed up system, especially nowadays.
And two, I know through the exchange or through Obamacare, and it might be now just through regular insurance. If your company offers you insurance, you can't get a third party insurance. They won't allow you to get a third party insurance if your company offers you insurance.
There again, see, the federal government's involved in our health insurance. That shit needs to stop. Period.
That's to make it more affordable. Don't you know, TR?
Yeah, right.
That's like everything. Yeah, more housing. It's all good stuff. You're not seeing it the right way.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield has made billions of dollars on this Obamacare. I mean, it's just, I would love to see how much money they've turned on this.
Even before Obamacare, insurance companies' profits have went up 400% in like 20 or 30 years.
Well, every year your policy goes up for what reason? Like, I'll get my policy and it'll go up like $30 every year. And I was like, why did it go up? And they're like, well, it just goes up every year.
You had a birthday, my friend. If you have a birthday, it goes up. That's so by the time you're 65, you'll be paying a lot. That's why what's crazy is nowadays, if you think about the old days, right? You got married young, you had a career that you did 30 years in, you had a house payment that was 30 years long. The plan was to, by the time you retire, your house would be paid off, and then you just have to spend all your money on health care. Because it's going to be a lot.
Oh yeah, my dad right now has 30, I don't know, 33, 34 years in, and he has a state. He works for the state. He has a state job, and he won't retire right now because it'll cost him so much in health insurance.
Yeah. And you got to basically find that gap medical insurance that'll go from the age that you retire until Social Security and Medicare kick in. And that's where people are having the issue, is trying to find like a gap insurance.
And they raise the year for the Social Security every year. Like it started out at like 62, and then it went to 63, then it went to 64, and then I mean before long you're gonna be,
104.
Yeah, you're gonna have to work until you die.
Well, you
Yeah, I
got
think
to
I'm gonna
remember
be
the
67.
lifespan was like 58 years in the 1930s, and now that's up to 74. So I can understand some adjustment for that. You know, people definitely do live longer, but you know, it's the only way the system's going to stay sound. You got to adjust something, and they can't run on the same smoke and mirrors that the federal government come. They're required to keep their actuarially sound, the system of Social Security. They'll tell you it's sound now, but we know otherwise because the labor force is not expanding rapidly enough and paying in enough to really cover the future liabilities.
Yeah, but if you started working when you were, 14, 15, 16, whatever the case is, and you knew that money was going there and it was supposed to be there, and then they keep pushing it, it's like buying a car, and they say, yeah, you got a 5-year pay payments for 5 years, and then the car's paid off, and then all of a sudden you get close to the 5 years, and they're like, well, it's actually 6.5 years.
They shouldn't have ever been allowed to touch the money in Social Security.
No.
Congress, it should not have been ever allowed to do anything with that money except to sit and grow interest. As soon as they let them get their hands in on that money, they ran through it like crazy.
Yeah, they screwed all of us that want to retire someday.
Night, Blue.
See, Blue.
What, Blue out here?
Yeah, I got to get the hell out.
All right, Blue. Got anything to say before you leave since TR's not here?
Nope, I got nothing.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks. Take care, Blue.
I hardly put any money into social. Like you get that thing every couple of years to say how much money you paid into Social Security. I've been self-employed for pretty much most of my life, and I have almost like my benefits right now. If something were to happen, is like $50 a month. But my wife asked me, she's like, "So what are you going to do when you come to age to retire?" I said, "The money has never been there. The money's not been there in 10 years. Like this is a system that's not working."
All right, I hate to cut this off short, but it's been a couple hours. Then I got to go to work myself tomorrow, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, guys and Rosie, and cut this off. So, Parlusk, want to say goodnight and thank you for the gift. I appreciate it. Damn thing's pretty cool, man. I like it. I think it's a great product. And anyway, go ahead and do an outro if you want to.
To look at the followers, just go to gogagetactical.com. Check out C-Max and keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And check out the raffle that's going on with him. Nothing going on in my YouTube channel. My computer, as you see behind me, is in a million pieces because it decided to implode. But I do have another YouTube channel, Big Valley Homestead on YouTube, that I've been putting a couple videos up. So just search Big Valley Homestead. Thanks, TR, for the invite. Had a great time.
Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Rick, is your sixth cover. Would you like to do an outro?
Sure, I would love to. Thanks again, TR, Rosie, Parles, Blue. Now you're gone, but it was nice talking to you guys. Everybody in the external supporting TR. All the same crap I say every week, but got a couple cool things coming down the pipe. I got some new camouflage that I'm going to be doing a review on that is badass. Gulch Gear, go check that stuff out. Wait for the video, you'll be impressed. And a couple different videos. Definitely C-Max, put them in your prayers and thoughts. And shoot cancer in the face, my friends. Other than that, you guys have a awesome night. See you on the next one.
Probably got a gun review coming up soon, too. I'm just guessing. I don't know. It's a hunch.
Yeah, I might. I might have one. I got a lot of shit coming up. I got did a video for Coda Boys 15,000 subscribers. Got one coming out probably tomorrow for Let Freedom Ping, helping them support channel. They got a giveaway. And just a ton of crap going on. Some videos. I just got one out tonight right before this started about things not to do or to avoid if you're a new CCW holder. So, you guys take care.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on. Rosie, would you like to do an outro?
Sure. We now have a utility van that we're outfitting as a travel rig. You may enjoy following the process on that. I will be, and also I'm doing some more cinema photography type videos these days with some really nice camera gear. I'm not going to be on in August. I'm going to take a break for a month, and we're going to be out doing some Wednesday's my day off, so I'm going to start doing Tuesday evening for the month of August to get out there on the road a little bit with Jen and break in some of our equipment, generators, camp stoves, and all that. So I will see you guys in September. Thank you, Rick and Blue and Parv and TR. Always good to see you inside chat.
Stay safe, Rosie.
Yeah, I hope you have a great time, Rosie, and good luck, and I hope everything goes good for you.
I'll drop you.
I think that new little camper is going to work out great for you.
I'll shoot you a postcard, TR.
All right, I look forward to it. All right, all I got to say is thank you, everybody. Again, you can see my latest video. You can go to, and it's not for me, it's for C-Max Arms. He's fighting cancer, and if you're like me, you've probably been touched by cancer in a bad way somehow, through friends, family, or whatever. And I think it's a good cause, and I think it's a great cause. And if you can, help out. If you can't, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And we'll see you next week. Bye.